A very good evening to you. Welcome to News 360 live from our studio here at Adesanwe Kanda in Accra. I am Martin Asiedu Date. And I'm Grace Hamwa Ajiman. Top of the bulletin tonight.
News 360 headlines is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint,
Pepsodent Charcoal and Pepsodent Herbal,
EcoBank.
Tonight, the Ghana Journalists Association demands immediate investigation and punishment for military personnel who brutally assaulted the Media General's Northeast correspondent, Solomon Kanalue. Minority welcomes Supreme Court's ruling restoring Matthew Nyindam as Member of Parliament for Kpandai. And later in the bulletin, Drug Law Enforcement Unit of the Ghana Police Service destroys large quantities of seized cannabis and other narcotic substances. In business tonight, Bank of Ghana intensifies its aggressive shift towards economic easing, slashing key lending rate to 4-year low by 250 basis points at 15.5%. On the international front, U.S. President Donald Trump warns Iran of far worse attack than June strikes on its nuclear program if Tehran fails to negotiate fast. We are live around the world on 3news.com. We are also streaming on Facebook and on YouTube, and we always love to hear from you. Well, let's begin the bulletin with some politics because leadership of the National Democratic Congress, NDC, have vowed to seek redress following the reinstatement of Matthew Nyindam as Member of Parliament for Kpandai constituency after the Supreme Court's decision. Earlier, the Apex Court, by a 4-1 majority decision, quashed the Tamale High Court's ruling that annulled the Kpandai parliamentary election in December 2024. Lord Idwasari reports.
Lawyers of the Kpandai Member of Parliament, Matthew Nyindam, had prayed the Supreme Court to overturn the decision of the Tamale High Court with the argument that the election petition filed by NDC parliamentary candidate Daniel Insala-Wakpao was filed outside the 21-day mandatory period. It was his case that the Kpandai parliamentary results were initially gazetted on 24 December 2024, making the petition submitted on 25 January 2025 out of time. But Daniel Insala-Wakpao's lawyers opposed. They indicated that the petition was filed within the statutory period because the second gazette compiled on January 6 was relied on, adding that Nyindam relied on same during earlier proceedings at the Tamale High Court. As the case was pending at the Supreme Court, orders were given for the suspension of the Kpandai election rerun, which had earlier been announced by the Electoral Commission following the annulment of the results by the Tamale High Court. The overturning of the High Court decision and subsequent quashing of same means there will be no Kpandai election rerun. A legal representative of the NDC parliamentary candidate, Roxanne Nelson Defemekbo, expressed disappointment at the decision of the court.
As a party, we are aggrieved by this decision, and therefore we will advise our candidate in the matter regarding the next step to take. We should be interested in the Gazette notification published by the Assembly Press under the authority of the Electoral Commission that was brought to Parliament, for which people like me were sworn in. That cannot be a gazette that will be discounted by the court.
Having retained a seat in Parliament, Kpandai legislator Matthew Nyindam was elated with the proceedings.
Not my first time I've been in Parliament. 2012, I was elected, and I served the people 2 terms. They know whom I am, and I'm serving them honestly. So unfortunately, what happened, I give glory to God. In my life, whatever happens, I think that is ordained to happen. So I'm not going to run away from what happened. But I know very well that The people gave me the mandate. And by the grace of God, God is alive. My God is alive. He will obviously speak for me one day. And he has spoken to me for me today. And I'm grateful. I'm going back to Parliament to continue to serve the people.
NDC parliamentary candidate Daniel Nsalawa called for peace in the constituency following the decision of the Supreme Court.
My supporters, the people of Kpandai, they all know that we have fought a good fight. And we're happy. They didn't say they didn't rig the election. They say we're out of time. And we'll see. We are waiting for the ruling, and we'll take it from there. Thank you very much.
Lord Idwasari, TV3 News, Accra.
Meanwhile, the minority says it has been vindicated by the Supreme Court's ruling that has reinstated Matthew Nyindam as the Member of Parliament for the Kpandai constituency. Legal counsel for the caucus, John Darko, says the Tamale High Court did not have the jurisdiction to hear the case, which was filed by the NDC in order to rerun the entire constituency elections. Christian Yali reports.
We are criticizing their shameful conduct. We are not afraid. We are ready to be in Nsawam.
After the Tamale High Court directed a fresh election in Kpandai, the minority protested, arguing that the court lacked jurisdiction to hear the matter. They insist the NDC candidate failed to meet the mandatory 21-day filing period. Tensions escalated further when a notice from the clerk to Parliament to the Electoral Commission declared the seat vacant. This triggered disruptions by NPP MPs, plunging the chamber into yet another ugly spectacle. The Supreme Court subsequently ordered the Electoral Commission to suspend the planned rerun. The minority says the Wednesday, January 28th ruling by the Apex Court has vindicated its position.
It wasn't so much about the decision of the court, okay? It was about the fact that the court had no jurisdiction in the first place. And if you don't have jurisdiction in law, you cannot do anything. You cannot build something on nothing. It will not stand. And so that is what happened. And look, we raised this issue. And so we were surprised that our brothers in the NDC, some of them are lawyers and they understand this basic point, but they still feel that we were wrong. But we've been vindicated on this. In spite of all the valid reasons we were advancing, they still felt that they had to push Nyindam out and declare him persona non grata.
John Darko doubts the NDC can meet the threshold to initiate a review of the Supreme Court ruling.
What they don't understand, that review is not as of right. And so when you go for a review, you don't have to assume that the matter will even be taken up. You need to show some fundamental injustice which has been done to you. Okay, I shudder to think that they'll be able to cross that.
He then criticized the clerk's notice to the Electoral Commission and expressed worry over the lack of representation for the people of Kpandai due to the legal hurdles over this period.
What was that indecent haste for? And here we are. Imagine that the court, the Supreme Court, hadn't held the whole process. Would have had an election to elect somebody, spend money, and possibly people will be hurt in that process. And the Supreme Court will overturn the whole process. So there was no need for that rush to, declare the seat vacant. They were completely wrong. Protests, boycotts are all parliamentary tools we use in parliamentary processes. And so I don't think that we were wrong. We had to make the people of Ghana aware of the kind of things our brothers on the other side, were doing.
It is early days yet, but while the minority maintains it has been vindicated, it says it is not complacent. The caucus says it is ready to face the NDC in court whenever they return for that hinted review, noting that they are confident the laws and the facts are on their side. Christian Yale, TV3 News, Parliament.
Let's do some more stories now. The Ghana Journalists Association, GJA, has demanded an immediate investigation and punishment of military personnel who brutally assaulted Media General's Northeast correspondent Solomon Kanalue. GJA says it is deeply troubled by the rising attacks on journalists by security agencies and wants all identified culprits interdicted and prosecuted.
If the military was doing something right, was lawfully exercising their powers, why would they seize his phone after subjecting him to inhuman attack? Seize his phone, flash his phone, so he wouldn't get any information. And even messages that were sent earlier to people on that day were all deleted before the phone was recycled. This is how inhuman some people can be. And this is unacceptable, unlawful, and deeply troubling. It reflects a dangerous disregard for the right of civilians and journalists and undermines public confidence in the professionalism of the Ghana Armed Forces. The GJA condemned this assault in the strongest terms and calls on the military high command to immediately investigate the incident, identify the personnel involved, and apply appropriate sanctions. We further demand that the matter be treated with the seriousness it deserves and that the victim is offered protection and support. Attacks on journalists by military personnel, whether in the line of duty or otherwise, are completely intolerable and must not be normalized under any circumstances. We will await the position of the military high command. We are very much keenly and interested in the matter, and we are ready to react and respond to any position they come out with. We hope that they will be very fair, firm, objective, and candid with their position. This is the media they are talking about. They can't use our own media. You can't issue a statement which will be contrary to the truth and expect our people to cover it, to give you the needed mileage. We will await the position of the military high command on this matter.
Meanwhile, the Ghana Armed Forces says it has launched an investigation into the assault. In a statement, the Acting Director General of the Public Relations Office of the Armed Forces, Captain Veronica Adjo-Ahin, emphasized the commitment of the Ghana Armed Forces to uphold security while investigating the assault.
Let's do some other stories now. Vice President Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman has emphasized the need to prioritize child-centered policies to create a brighter future for all children. Speaking at the end of a two-day retreat organized by the National Development Planning Commission at Senchi, the Vice President said protecting social spending, ending violence, fixing education, and defeating child hunger are investments in the country's future.
Over 90 participants gathered in Senchi for a period of 2 days to discuss strategic plans aimed at improving the welfare of children. Issues concerning maternal, neonatal and child mortality, sanitation, adolescent pregnancy, among other child health matters were discussed. The Director of Research at the National Development Planning Commission, Richard Junibu-Akudua, presented 7 cross-cutting areas that need to be addressed as soon as possible.
These are our commitments, that we establish an interministerial coordination committee on nutrition and sanitation to strengthen collaboration and coordination at national and subnational levels. We would also want to develop a comprehensive and innovative financing strategy that streamlines diverse funding sources. We would also want to implement existing comprehensive sanitation and nutrition strategies and plans at scale, using an all-of-society approach to shift social norms and practices on open defecation.
He stressed the need for sustainable financing, improving the quality of education, and investing in adolescent girls for long-term prosperity. The Vice President, Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, said prioritizing children's welfare is not just a legal obligation, but a moral imperative and a sound investment in the country's future.
Government has taken steps to implement strategic child-centered reforms. These include the Care Reform Roadmap. Ghana is shifting from institutional care to family-based alternatives, strengthen inspections, and foster care. it is about time.
She urged the NDPC to put in place a robust mechanism to track the commitments made at the retreat to ensure they translate into tangible actions.
Government, civil society, the private sector, development partners, and communities must unite to ensure that every child grows up safe, healthy, and well educated. The life of a child is not the time for turf wars, self-aggrandizement. The child should not be the center of fights that do not aid his life.
And for many women aspiring to enter politics in Ghana, the biggest hurdle is not the ballot box, but the price tag attached to contesting an election. A new report by GTEC West Africa has identified the monetization of politics as a key factor limiting women's participation in Ghana's democratic process.
Ghana's democracy has made notable strides since the coming into force of the Fourth Republican Constitution. Yet, beneath the surface of regular elections and peaceful transitions of power lies a persistent imbalance in political representation. Despite women and youth accounting over 60% of Ghana's population and about 62% of registered voters, their presence in decision-making remains disproportionately low. In the 9th Parliament, young people aged 18 to 35 occupy just 11 out of 275 seats, representing just 4%. Women fare only slightly better, holding just 14.5% of parliamentary seats, while fewer than 20% of executive appointments are occupied by women. This gap persists even after the passage of the Affirmative Action Act 2024, which mandates a minimum 30% quota for women in decision-making positions across all levels of governance. According to findings presented in a new report launched by GTEC West Africa, the high cost of political participation remains a major structural barrier to women's political inclusion.
How do women double up their security? It all boils down to money. Even their wardrobe. A man can wear a trouser and top to every place without question, but a woman has to evolve at every stage and which stakeholder that they are engaging. And if you look at the Constitutional Review report that came out, it did not recommend proportional representation now. It said there's something that we have to look into it. So obviously we have the affirmative action, but if we do not talk about money, we're not going to be able to implement it.
An expert contributing to the report explains that these financial pressures do not end at the campaign stage, but also affect daily governance.
In order for you to justify your inclusion for the next election, people will be calculating how much you are supporting whilst you are in office. So when we complain about policy incoherence, we don't understand why this project didn't happen. Why are we asking ourselves when MPs cannot even sit down and read a contract? Because he has to worry about, how many mobile phones he's going to buy, whatever.
Women who ventured into politics shared similar experiences.
Financing is a major challenge. If you are not well resourced or connected or have friends, if you didn't go to some great schools with great network of people to help you, it means that you are almost immediately eliminated. And then there's a concept of godfatherism and other things that are in the politics right now, which almost makes it a bit tough also for women.
The filing fee that they brought up was 20,000, and we plead for them to reduce. It was something else, so we have to write petitions upon petitions until they later on heard our cry and then reduce it to 10,000.
GTEC West Africa, together with other stakeholders, warned that Ghana risks deepening democratic exclusion despite progressive legislation. Deborah Bamensa, TV3 News, Accra.
Let's turn our attention to education now. You can tell in the last few days there's been some tension between GTEC and a number of universities, the UTAG branch in a number of these universities. So the University Teachers Association of Ghana, UTAG, the Cape Coast branch, or the University of Cape Coast branch, has called for the immediate resignation or removal of the Director General of the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, GTEC, Professor Abdullahi Jinapo, and his deputy, Professor Augustine Oklu. Let's take you through some of the specific issues they are raising in their demand. First of all, they are saying that the two men I've just mentioned, Professor Ahmed Abdullahi Jenapo and Professor Augustine Oklu, must resign or be removed. They say that these two men are not allowing academic freedom to flow as should, and that under their watch, academic freedom is being undermined through the back door. They say GTEC's action against UCC in 2025 illustrate arbitrariness and mandate deviation. And according to them, Act 1023 has created legal space for overreach and must be amended. And again, they say urgent government action is required, where they're asking that legislative instrument and ministerial policy directive should be looked into. Again, they say that there should be, these two men should be removed or resign, or industrial action remains a last resort that they could fall on if they still remain at post by end of January 31. And the University of Ghana actually initiated the act asking for the GTEC Director General to be removed. Now UCC has also joined in that call, and KNUST UTAG as well. So we'll see how the next few days play out, whether they will be removed or resign.
Law enforcement units of the Ghana Police Service has destroyed a large quantity of seized cannabis and other narcotic substances as part of ongoing efforts to combat drug trafficking and abuse in the country. The police say to continue on its clampdown on drug syndicate.
Exercise involved consignment of suspected cannabis, tramadol and other drugs intercepted during various anti-narcotic operations across different parts of the Ashanti region. The destruction was carried out under tight security and in line with legal and environmental safety procedures after court approval was obtained for the disposal of the substances. The police say the move is intended to send a strong warning to individuals involved in the illegal drug trade.
What we are saying is that wherever they are, those who are dealing with drugs, they should stop. But wherever they are, we shall get them arrested, and the law will not spread them.
The Ghana Police Service has reiterated its commitment to safeguarding public health and safety, especially among the youth, through sustained enforcement and public education.
The Ashanti Regional Police Command is determined because we believe that it is drug use that is helping these young ones into criminal activities. So we are committed to deal with it.
In a related development, the Ashanti South Regional Police Command has intercepted 713 slabs of suspected narcotic substances and arrested a commercial driver during a routine snap check operation at Asanso.
The team intercepted a Sprinter Mercedes-Benz with registration number AC 718-25 carrying the substance stashed in nylon sacks. When questioned about the source and destination of the goods, the suspect driver told police that it was given to him by an unknown person around KTEC lorry station to be delivered to another unknown person at Obuasi at the cost of 600 cedis.
Meanwhile, 4 suspected armed robbers have been arrested in connection with a robbery incident that occurred at Kunsu in the Ashanti region on 7 December 2025.
Police investigations indicate that the suspects are members of a criminal syndicate responsible for a series of robbery and stealing cases at Kunsu and its environs. During interrogation, the suspects admitted to conspiring and robbing miners of cash, gold concentrates, locally known as black, and other valuables.
The regional command is assuring the general public of its continued commitment to maintaining peace, law and order in the region.
Let's do housing stories now. The Minister for Works and Housing has intimated that the Blekusu Coastal Protection Project is 25% complete as government intensifies the efforts to curb the recurring destruction caused by tidal waves along the coast. The contract for phase 2 of the project has also been awarded, with construction works already ongoing.
The Blekusu Coastal Protection Project intervention followed the displacement of thousands of residents in Solakope, Agaveji and Amutinu in the Keita South municipality due to persistent tidal wave activity. The Minister for Works, Housing and Water Resources, Kenneth Gilbert Ajay, speaking at the Government Accountability Series, outlined the government's commitment to safeguarding coastal settlements.
I am pleased to announce that the contract was awarded for the phase 2 of the Blekusu Coastal Protection Project. And in August last year, His Excellency the President of the Republic of Ghana officially broke ground for the commencement of this critical project. Currently, the project is 25% completed.
According to him, through the Greater Accra Resilient and Integrated Development GARID project, more than 90,000 cubic meters of silt have been dredged from the Odo River.
Under the National Flood Control Program, my ministry has been implementing critical interventions to reduce flood-related risks. Notably, progress has been made in the construction, rehabilitation, and desilting of drains across various regions, thereby reducing flood risk in identified hotspots.
On measures to tackle the increasing housing deficits, he announced the rollout of the Greenville District Housing Program aimed at expanding access to affordable housing for low to middle income earners across the country.
In its pilot phase, the program has commenced in 8 districts, namely South Dai, Asojaman, Achimansa, Ajumako Enyan Esiem, Achema Kwangoma, Doma West, Bole, and Tamale, and at various levels of completion now.
The program is a district-level intervention designed to provide decent and affordable accommodation in line with the government's decentralization agenda and broader housing policy objectives.
And more than 900 students of the Northern School of Business have been left without accommodation after fire destroyed parts of their girls' dormitory. No casualties have been officially reported. The cause of the fire remains unknown, and the fire service says investigations are ongoing. The school has appealed to the government, alumni, civil society organizations, and benevolent individuals to support efforts to provide temporary accommodation and essential supplies for the displaced students. The Northern Regional Minister Adolf Ali John disclosed that due to limited accommodation, the authorities have decided to send second-year students home for a one-week break. Students who were heavily affected by the fire will also be sent home. You're also watching News 360 on TV3. We have business, sports, entertainment, and more. After this break, stay with us.
The business segment is brought to you by MTN. Touch concentrated perfume.
Hello there, good evening and welcome to the business segment here on News 360. I am Michael Obodu. Now, the Bank of Ghana has cut its monetary policy rate by 250 basis points to 15.5%, marking the lowest level in 4 years. Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Johnson Esiama, spoke at the 128th MPC press briefing in Accra.
Governor Dr. Johnson Esiama says the policy rate cut reflects growing confidence in the country's economic recovery, supported by tight monetary policy, fiscal consolidation, and a build-up of foreign reserves.
Based on the foregoing considerations, the committee, the MPC, by a majority decision, voted to lower the monetary policy rate by 250 basis points to 15.5%.
Dr. Isiama added that the cedi is expected to enjoy relative stability in 2026, largely due to improved interbank foreign exchange market intermediation and strengthened external buffers.
The interbank FX market is working better now. And so we believe that FX intermediation will become more fluid going forward. And so the cedi should be relatively stable going forward.
The governor also disclosed that progress has been made in the banking sector recapitalization program, with all but 2 banks meeting the new capital requirements.
We have 2 more banks that are yet to meet it, but those banks have been given up to March, end of March 2026, to be able to meet it. And so largely we have made progress on the recapitalization strategy.
The Bank of Ghana says it will continue to closely monitor domestic and global developments to ensure that recent gains in macroeconomic stability translate into sustained growth and financial sector resilience.
So what does this really mean for the average Ghanaian and for businesses? We'll be walking you through a brief analysis on what all of this stands for. So basically, we know that the policy rate is used to check inflation. And over the last couple of months, we've seen policy rates at relatively high levels. But now that the inflation rate has come down significantly, the central bank thinks that it's time to ease up the economy a bit and lower the policy rates. And we see the reduction there from 18% now to 15.5%. But then how does this also reflect on the cost of borrowing on the markets? Over the last couple of months, we've seen the policy rate drop from 27% to 15.5%. And you see also that on the market front, the lending rate is, of course, slightly higher than the policy rate, but it shows you also, you see the direct correlation that as the policy rate goes down, average lending rates of the market has also gone down. Currently, it stands at about 20.5%, as at when it was 18%. So your guess is as good as mine. Now that it's at 15.5%, we should expect some drops also in lending rates on the market. But what does this really mean for the average Ghanaian and businesses? When the policy rate goes down, it means that borrowing becomes cheaper. Like we've seen from the graph that we saw earlier, if you were borrowing at the 20% earlier, it means that now that it's dropped from 18 to 15.5%. You should see some reduction in your current lending, in your current loans that you've taken from the bank. And also it means that if you're going for a loan, you will get it at a relatively cheaper rate because the policy rate has dropped. So it means that now businesses would be able to borrow more and consumers will also be able to borrow and spend. Because if you were edgy about borrowing at a higher rate, now you are more enticed to borrow because the prices are lower. And of course, all of this finally translates into economic growth because businesses will now be able to borrow to expand their businesses. People will have more money now to spend and grow the economy. And that's how the policy rates affects businesses and Ghanaians. Now, to more stories now, President John Dramani Mahama has issued a clarion call for a bold and coordinated overhaul of Africa's financial architecture, warning that the continent's industrial ambitions will remain stalled without access to affordable long-term capital. at the Africa Trade Summit 2026. The president warned that Africa's industrialization is being stifled by shallow financial markets and high interest rates, making essential long-term capital unaffordable.
President Mahama urged African nations to fund their own growth by boosting tax collection, tightening financial management, and aggressively blocking the drain of illicit financial flows. A key pillar of the president's proposal involves unlocking the massive reserves held within the continent.
Shallow financial markets, high interest rates, debt pressures, and limited non-extractive investments continue to slow our progress. These constraints demand new thinking and collective action. Africa must mobilize its domestic resources more effectively through improved revenue collection, stronger financial management.
Sir Sam Jonah earlier called for unapologetic self-interest by Africa to secure prosperity.
This is the moment for Africa to be selfish, unapologetically so, boldly selfish in pursuing our interests. No more deference to distant agendas. No more exporting raw material while importing finished dependency. Africa first. Selfish means demanding fair terms in every deal.
Deputy Director General of the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, UNIDO, Fatou Haidara, called on African nations to synchronize trade and industry.
The core challenge lies in pace and scale, marked by timid integration and slow execution. It's clear the African Continental Free Trade Area will not deliver all its promises without industrialization.
And that'll be all for the business segment here on News 360. We'll bring you updates now from the currency and the commodities market.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the sports segment here on News 360 with me, Oreku Ampofo. Football is the main attraction at the 2026 FIFA World Cup. But beyond the pitch, a Ghanaian artist, Anthony Hansen, is expected to add a touch of creative spice to the competition under the umbrella of the Inspiring the Next Generation, harnessing sustainable and innovative approaches to sport. An event was put together at the United States Embassy in Ghana. There's more details in the following report.
Excitement is building up ahead of the 2026 World Cup, which is scheduled to take place in the United States, Mexico and Canada. Placed in Group L, Ghana's Black Stars will lock horns with Panama, England and Croatia in what will be the team's fifth appearance on the world stage. Beyond the pitch, Ghana's muralist Anthony Hansen is set to take center stage with captivating and appealing designs to fans in Philadelphia. At a ceremony organized at the United States Embassy on Monday, under the umbrella of Inspiring the Next Generation, harnessing sustainable and innovative approaches to art and sports integration, Hansen opened up on his groundbreaking move.
In our communities, we can celebrate some of our superstars like Abedi Pele, Kwame Ayew, even Asamoah and all of that. And that is art telling the story of the sports. So I think art and sports comes together to make a very great impact in the community.
Actively involved in painting for more than a decade, Hansen views the opportunity to work with FIFA as the biggest in his career and an avenue to portray Ghanaian culture.
Doing it for FIFA is huge though. It's actually huge. I can't wait to get it done.
In a bid to draw the younger generation to the creative space, the award-winning muralist has pledged to embark on a secondary school tour, an initiative that sits well with teachers of different high schools. As the World Cup draws closer, the off-field activities and events carry as much significance as the final results.
Well, we still stay with football and move on to the domestic scene where the Ghana Football Association has sanctioned Heart of Oak assistant coach Gazelle Abdullahi after his incident during the Ghana Premier League match against Mediama Sporting Club. After reviewing the case, the Ghana Football Association Disciplinary Committee found Abdullahi guilty of misconduct involving an altercation with a ball retriever. He has then been handed a 3-match ban, fined 5,000 Ghana cedis and issued a formal warning. The fine must be paid within the next 14 days or further sanctions could apply. Now, before we go, let's just do some more here where former Manchester City player Raheem Sterling has left Chelsea after 3.5 years at the London-based club. Sterling is now free to sign for any club as a free agent after mutually agreeing the terms of his exit. The 31-year-old had not played for Chelsea since May 2024, even though he remained one of the club's best-paid players, earning a reported £325,000 a week. Sterling had 18 months left on a contract that could have cost Chelsea about £25 million if he were to stay until it ran out in the summer of 2027. Well, it's a big night in the Champions League as the league phase concludes tonight. It's the final set of games, match day 8. All 18 games kicking off concurrently at 8 p.m. tonight. A lot to look forward to. A lot could change. Remember, the top 8 automatically qualify to the round of 16, and the remaining 16 do go through a playoffs to battle for the last ace loss to make the round of 16 stage. This is how things do look like at the standings at the moment, and anything could change as the matches do go on and the points do also change as the matches are played as well. And so you do want to follow 3 Sports GH for the latest updates from all of these 18 games and what they do mean with regards to permutations for the knockout rounds as well. My name is Oreku Ampofo for bringing an end to the sports segment here on News 360.
My line of work, a confident.
segment is brought to you by GTP Lifestyled
and Napa Foods, Heaven Black Insecticide Spray and Coil.
Powered by 3 Entertainment.
Hello and welcome to the entertainment news segment here on News 360. I am Esiedua Afeni. Starting off, legendary Ghanaian highlife musician Oborba J.A. Adolfo has expressed appreciation to President John Mahama for the support he has received over the years. The veteran musician revealed that President John Mahama has been taking care of him since he fell ill, providing monthly financial assistance to help cover his medical expenses, along with other forms of support. According to the Yaboatma composer, actor Mr. Beautiful delivers the funds on behalf of the president. The highlife legend emphasized that the support is purely an act of kindness, stressing he is not involved in politics and that there are no political moves attached to the president's gesture. Finally, let's take a look at some of the entertainment stories that are making waves around the world.
We all be adults, so why you kidding? I go admit if I be wrong. Everybody get opinion, but who go live with their decision?
Music company Ground Up Chile and its founder, Glenn Boateng, have filed a writ of summons at the High Court in Accra against Ghanaian artist Kwesi Arthur, accusing him of libel. Filed on 27 January 2026, the suit seeks more than 10 million damages over statements made by the Bajo singer in a social media post dated January 21. The plaintiffs are asking the court to declare the statements defamatory, order their removal, restrain further comments, and compel a public apology and retraction. The claims include 5 million in general damages, 2 million in special damages, 3 million in aggravated and exemplary damages, and legal costs. The dispute centers on claims by Kwesi Arthur that he was asked to pay $150,000 to use images of himself, that Ground Up Chile owns his image and music, that he earned no income from his work with the label, and that the management threatened and blocked his releases. He also stated that any harm to him should be blamed on the company and its founder. Paul Thomas Anderson's One Battle After Another has received 14 nominations at this year's BAFTA Awards, tying as the second most nominated film in BAFTA history. The film joins The King's Speech, All Quiet on the Western Front, and Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, with only Gandhi earning more nominations. The film is up for Best Film, with Anderson nominated for Best Director, Leonardo DiCaprio, and Chase Infinity received Leading Actor and Actress nominations, while Teyana Taylor, Benicio del Toro, and Sean Penn earned supporting nominations.
You know, you are so unsuitable for my daughter. My child comes from a whole line of revolutionaries, and you look so lost.
The film also scored several technical nods, including adapted screenplay, cinematography, editing, original score, and production design. Warner Bros. Discovery led the nominations overall, and One Battle After Another has also earned 13 nominations at the 2026 Academy Awards.
World War III out there!
That's it for entertainment. I'm Esiedua Afeni. Over to you, Grace.
Right, let's do some international news. And U.S. President Donald Trump has threatened Iran on with an attack far worse than the strike he ordered against the country's nuclear sales in June if Tehran doesn't agree to a deal to curb its nuclear power. Trump said in a post on his Truth Social platform that if Iran did not come to an agreement, the U.S. could carry out an attack worse than its previous one in June when it hits multiple nuclear sites with bunker busting bombs. The Truth Social post on Wednesday was the first time he had linked the major U.S. Navy deployment in the Persian Gulf region to the stalled nuclear negotiations.
It's always a pleasure coming your way. Thank you so much for watching News 360. I am Martin Asiedu Date.
And I'm Grace Hamwajiman. Thank you for joining us. Good evening.